Many, if not all, spiritual and religious concepts have to do with meaning making. We humans have an inherent need to assign meaning to our experiences. Without meaning, purpose, without hope, we would not be able to survive this life. So we conceptualize our experiences, which is very, very human. The more time I spend in nature, the more I understand what natural really means. Nature is not kind. Animals eating animals, plants killing animals, and humans killing both. There is a lot of cruelty in nature. And we try to understand, why is that? We try to create constructs that assign a purpose behind every cruelty, with eventually ending in justice. We try to figure out a happy end. We create stories of a benevolent God who will justify everything in the end, who will revenge. We create the idea of an afterlife in peace. We create the idea of a benevolent cosmos that will embrace us after we leave this plane. But what if there is the possibility that there is no meaning, no purpose, no great grand plan? What if the universe is indifferent? I myself have always been interested in studying the mechanics of life. And in 2016, I started studying astrology. A huge part of astrology is studying astronomy, the cycle of the planets. You study the seasons. You study how the relationship between light and dark works. But then there comes the meaning, the interpretation, which is a huge part. And I've noticed that I'm still really much interested in understanding how it works. And I also understood that even if we understand how things work, that doesn't necessarily mean that there is a purpose behind. There is correlations, there is cause and effect, there is timing, there is mathematics. But all that does not necessarily mean that it means something. And yet we still have this inherent need to understand, to try to find meaning. There are so many arts and sciences out there that each will teach us something about how life works. And yet none of them will give us true knowledge about why it works. So in the end, there's always the question, why? We are not satisfied with understanding how things work. We want to know why. And even if we have a lot of coping mechanisms that help us throughout this life, and concepts is one, of course, in the end, each of us, you too, will come at least once in your life to the point where you ask yourself, does it make sense? What's the point of life? What's the point of building a house, creating a family, dying? So how to cope with that is very different from each individual. Some might deny everything and justify their cruel deeds with that. Some, and many, will create concepts that in the end will point towards a good outcome, something that gives us hope. And that is very useful. It might help you through very difficult phases in your life. They might keep you alive, those concepts. Your faith, your belief might actually be the reason that you survive. But in the end, you come to the point where you understand that that concept is one of many points of view that you can have in this life. So, what if you could live your life without the need to assign meaning to everything? What would happen if you let go of your need to explain everything, to know everything? All that might sound very negative, but I have found the older I get, the more cycles I live through on this planet, the more freedom I have when I accept what is and what is not. Radical acceptance of the human experience makes you free to actually live. Because after all, concepts keep you stuck in a certain way of thinking. Concepts restrict you because concepts are constructs that force you to interpret and judge every experience that you have. And depending on that concept, you only experience truly a very little part of what life actually is. So when you let go of these concepts, when your eyes open to truly see and sense, it might be a very frightening experience, and it might be hard to bear, that awareness of what life actually is. You might feel powerless without the capability of facing life. And I'm not sure how beneficial that is to gain that amount of awareness. Before, I have been always thinking that the more awareness we have, the easier life actually is, because we could do more with that awareness. We could change our lives. And I've also understood that when we tap into our creative potential, we are often, as I see it today, misled to believe that we can change everything, that we are omnipotent. But we are not outside of creation. We are part of this structure of the physical world. So we are not all powerful to change what this plane is. And that can feel devastating. So we create those concepts and we keep those concepts because they make life bearable. And yet, we will have those experiences where we understand that what we've been thinking of reality in this life, in the afterlife, might not be true after all. We might doubt, we might actually question everything. That's part of being human. So it might be not a bad idea to let go of concepts that have kept us safe but still very restricted, because in the end those concepts will be stripped off. We will not be able to hold on to these concepts. We will have experiences that show us much more. So you can, of course, strengthen your concepts, but you can also choose freedom by accepting what is. So what would your life be? How would you live your life with the possibility that there might not be any bigger purpose and meaning to life than life itself? That's all for today.